So I lived with Invitation Homes for about 3 years, and I've spent the past year fighting with them, trying to get my deposit back and just recover some of the emotional and physical stress that they've put on me and my former roommates. They have been a negligent and untrustworthy company, and I'm just wanting to share my story with everyone who will listen. I lived with Invitation Homes for 3 years. I moved in 2014, signed a lease, and then we stayed there for another 2 years after that. When we first looked at the house, everything looked good. I think that's many stories, right? Their houses do look good. A lot of these are houses that they bought up en masse during the housing crisis of 2008, that period. So the houses usually look decent on the surface, and ours was no different. And we had a good time living there, especially for the first year. Not too many problems. We were actually pretty good tenants, I feel. We didn't have a lot of issues come up. We were pretty quiet and did our own thing. And it was myself and a couple other friends that just lived in this house. Not in a great area of town, but the price was okay at the time. There was an annual rent increase that we usually tried to negotiate down. So we typically would, at like lease renewal, would negotiate with them, but they would not come down too much price. And again, this wasn't a very good area of town, so just thinking about the comparative rents and things like that. But we dealt with it, right? We didn't want to move. But again, like I mentioned, we weren't really needy residents. We did have the occasional issue that came up. So just as a couple examples, the closet door in my bedroom, during the first year of our lease, the closet door fell off. It was like just an accordion door. So I reported that to maintenance. They had someone come out and do just a quick, cheap repair job. He kind of glued a piece of wood back on, basically. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. That was my first experience with them, and I thought, great, they know what they're doing. The garage door had a keypad to open it. That never that never worked while we lived there. We did have, especially in the last year of us living there, we had an issue with some black widow spiders in the home, so a rodent infestation in the attic. We later found out because of that, the home was kind of shoddily constructed. I don't want to blame that on Invitation Homes because, like I said, they did buy up a lot of their houses during the housing crisis, but I will blame them for not necessarily fixing that. So talking about that pest control issue, that's one issue that we really did deal with that last year of the lease, and one of my biggest issues with them. So we dealt with, we were hearing, obviously, just several scurrying noises and stuff in the house and reported that to maintenance. They sent someone out. I don't know if it was an Invitation Homes employee or a contractor. I believe it was a contractor, but they came out, set some traps up in the attic, and the lady came down and said, yeah, it's a bad problem up there. She came back a couple days later and picked up the traps. She let us know that she couldn't get some of the rodents. They were in like an area she wasn't able to get to or something. So she just told us we'd have to deal with the smell while they decomposed. It was not a good thing. And like I didn't think about it at the time, but I was like, that's probably not the safest and most healthy thing either. So definitely just going back at the time, I didn't think about it at the time, but not happy that happened. She did point out, though, she was the one that let us know. She went through and kind of told us where on the outside of the house where the roof was, where there are several holes that they kind of literally cut corners when building the house. Again, not Invitation Homes necessarily, but when it was constructed, just some cutting of corners and things like that. So there were actually holes, like openings, where rodents and just nature could climb in. So Invitation Homes, rather than having that fixed, just had some chicken wire put over the holes for the rest of our lease. And the last time I drove by the house, even after living there and moving out, the chicken wire was still up. So it looks like they never bothered fixing that, at least last I checked. And then during the last several months of the home also, so that was in the last year, we also dealt with some harassment from the local office. Invitation Homes requires renter's insurance, and we did, we purchased it and had it the entirety of our lease. And they, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 months before we moved out at the end of our lease, started getting these letters in the mail, emails, notes on the door, things saying that, you didn't give us your latest renter's insurance to prove that you had it. We're going to evict you. So we thought it was a mistake on our end, so we gave them proof, and then the notes just kept coming. The threats of eviction kept coming. So I sent several emails saying, "Hey, we've already sent this to you. We've already sent this to you." A couple times I resent it. I eventually ended up in the office talking to the office staff and actually stood there in front of the front office person while he recorded the information on the computer, and I thought that was the end of it finally. And then maybe a week later, we started getting the notes again, threatening eviction, threatening eviction. So the last 6 months or so that we were there, besides the rodent issues, we had this harassment from the local office that they never seemed to care about. Those were the issues, the biggest issues that we had while living there. And most of those, they were annoying and, like I said, to the point of harassment sometimes. And thinking about it later, there was some health concerns now maybe that I should have brought up. But that was what we had at the time. And I probably would have dealt with it, moved out, and just said I'll never went with them again. But where I really came into having some major problems with Invitation Homes was after move out. So when I moved out, we were supposed to set up a forwarding address, and that was my fault. I did not. But I knew with Invitation Homes, we didn't leave a new address with them. That was a mistake on my end. All of the roommates that lived there, we just separated, kind of went our separate ways, and we kind of had this quibble of who was going to put their address down, and then no one did. So that was my fault. But I did set up mail forwarding, so I did feel comfort knowing that any mail coming from them would come to me still, and I would interact with them as needed. 2 months went by after moving out, and I wondered where my deposit was, so I picked up the phone and called the local office, and they let me know that not only was I not getting my deposit back, but they had turned me over to collections for an amount, I forget what it is now. It was between $700 and $800. I think around $765 or something was the amount. So they had turned me over to collections for that amount for quote unquote damages. And the Invitation Homes would no longer talk to me. I had to go through the collection company. So I did some digging around for a while over the course of the next several months and found out that apparently Invitation Homes did claim that they sent a certified letter, but they sent it to my last known address, which was their home. Obviously, again, I had mail forwarding set up, so I don't know why that was never forwarded. I did check the tracking number they gave, and that letter shows it was never delivered anywhere. So not sure what the story is there, but I can't totally blame them again since that was my problem. But through talking with the collection agency, I finally got a list of all the damages Invitation Homes claimed, and they were charging for things. They charged for that repair of a closet door. The same closet door that was repaired in my first year living at that home had fallen off. The repair job that they did failed during the last week, ironically, that I lived in the home. So I reported that to maintenance right before moving out. And then, like I said, found out a few months later that I was being charged for that for some reason. So I was charged for that. I was charged for painting the home, damage to walls that I fixed, any little tiny hole on the wall. Like I spent the last week living there trying to patch up any little thing like that. We were charged for pressure washing the exterior of the home. We were charged for door locks to be replaced. They claim that we changed the locks to the home. We never did. So, and talking with some other former tenants, which I'll get into in a few minutes, but talking to some other former tenants of other Invitation Homes, seems like some of these things are common things that come up upon move out. So I've quickly learned my story wasn't unique. But then we were charged for like trash removal. I let them know prior to move out that our trash day was on a Friday or Thursday or Friday. They came on like a Wednesday or Thursday. They came before our trash day for the week, basically, and I let them know that. It looks like the city may have left some bits of debris on the ground after they pick up the trash, which was out of my control. But we are charged for that. And several other things. So there were things on the list, and I've told them this, that there were things on there that, yeah, we probably could have done better in cleaning certain areas, and I wouldn't have disputed all those charges by any means, but how they handled things, and then the really, frankly, the lies that they've told on several things, the door locks and such stuff like that. Like they've, at this point, lost all of my trust, and so I've really started disputing all of the charges at this point. I had to take time away from work. I've paid a lawyer to try to fight these charges. They would not back down. So just caused a lot of this has been going on for like a year now. I moved out last August in 2017. So just the past year, a lot of emotional, mental stress, obviously, on me, and then just the financial repercussions of I put a lot of those charges on my credit cards, the lawyer, the collection fees, things like that. So I was actually at one point considering bankruptcy. It was like it really hurt me. But these are all things that they're doing to pad their bottom line for their investors. It's a public company. So they obviously want to try to show an increase in funds every year and profits and things like that, and they're doing it by not being completely honest. Like I said earlier, I've been meeting with other former tenants now, so there are Facebook groups that I've actually been meeting. There's a former tenant that lives in California that has actually kind of started leading several of us former tenants and sharing our stories. And she's just been a godsend. She's been helping us kind of group up and just, like I said, share and really formulate a plan on how we're going to fight back. It has become now my life's goal to just fight back this company, whether or not I see another dollar from them. The amount of harm that they've done to myself and others, my story is actually tame compared to what I've seen on other people. The lady who is leading us, she has a dog that's currently has got neurological damage. He is having seizures and might have to be put down soon because of this company's negligence. There's another former tenant who just lost their home to a fire because Invitation Homes had an improperly ventilated fireplace. So my story, like I said, my story is very tame, but we're all gathering. We're all trying to share our stories, and we're all trying to do what we can to fight back. So that's where I am now. So I've been fighting them for a year. I've not seen a dollar back from them yet. But at this point, I'm just going to do what I can to tell my story and connect with others and continue fighting. I'm going to be honest, it's going to be hard to earn my trust back. Our group leader from the Facebook group has actually met with their executives and tried to get them to set up a trust fund to help former and current tenants with these issues. Invitation Homes has flat out denied, and that would be the thing that I would say would earn my trust back, would be to set up a trust fund, start trying to make amends with former tenants that they have wronged. So there is a way for them to do that. And we've presented that to them. They have so far absolutely refused. So I would love to see them change their mind. I don't know if they will.